The scientific name of the ground squirrel is a Spermophilus beechii. The ground squirrel has very good ears for hearing. They often will perch up on their behind two legs when they hear something and want to look around and feel threatened. The sentinel that sits on the rock and makes sure that the rest of the colony is safe will often stay perched on two legs on the rock and make a very loud, high-pitched noise to let the colony know that they may be in danger and need to head back into their holes.
A healthy ground squirrel can live up to 5 years. They give birth once a year in the late winter or early spring, and on average their litter contains about 7 to 8. After birth, the young live underground for approximately 6 weeks. Ground squirrel fur is a mottled gray-brown with a lighter colored underside. Their bodies are about 12 inches long with a 6-inch bushy tail. Scatten is an oblong shape and is about 3 to 8 inches long. It looks similar to rat scat, but is slightly larger and turns lighter in color over time. Around humans, ground squirrels can be quite social, feeding on whatever scraps or seeds they can forage. They may also be considered a pest in gardens and parks, as they may feed on plants and trees. However, ground squirrels prefer to eat seeds, such as oats, and may even eat crickets and grasshoppers.
When it comes to ground squirrels and their habitat, you've got to be really careful. Ground squirrels, they aren't too picky on what they eat, they just want a close food source. They love this wide open area with hills on both sides. As you can see, they've got holes everywhere. They've got tunnels all along the ground. You see, they love to go along the hills and go up into the trees. You see, ground squirrels are amazing specimens. They love to dig tunnels and they're not afraid of anything.
A unique behavior of ground squirrels is to warn each other in the presence of predators. Main predators are rattlesnakes, eagles, raccoons, and badgers. In the presence of predators, a lookout squirrel will prop up and make warning sounds to others in the area. When in an area of constant predation, the vigilance of the population increases. Squirrels have developed an impressive defense system against rattlesnakes in particular. Female squirrels may chew on old rattlesnake skin and lick their young to disguise their scent. In a confrontation with a snake, ground squirrels will wave their tails back and forth, creatively called tail waving. Because rattlesnakes rely on their infrared sense in hunting, this motion tells them this target is large and swift-moving and not worth attacking. If the snake does attack, it typically misses because of distraction of the rapid-moving tails.
The way you tell if you have a ground squirrel infestation is you'll have burrows all around your property. These burrows can be a huge problem to your soil erosion and need to be taken care of as soon as possible. The burrows are usually about 4 inches in diameter and are within 2 to 4 feet of the soil surface. Some burrows are for a single ground squirrel and some are for a whole colony.
Of all vertebrate pests, California ground squirrel causes the most damage in California. They approximately cause $20 to $28 million of damage each year. Various tactics can be used for management depending on the season. Ground squirrels are non-game mammals and can be taken anytime in any manner. There are various traps that can be used. A conibear or box-type trap is moderately successful when placed at the burrow entrance. As long as these traps are placed correctly at an active site, they are likely to work year-round. However, traps pose a problem in that the squirrels have to be disposed of and checked daily. Squirrels may carry disease and are hazardous to handle. This makes trapping only reasonable for low to moderate populations. The rhodinator and fumigation are most effective in the spring because moist soil helps seal gases in the soil. Aluminum phosphide products are commonly used and are particularly effective if squirrels have developed resistance to baits. Baiting is also season specific. For example, baiting with treated grain is effective in summer and fall because squirrels primarily feed on seeds during this period. The grain is typically treated with zinc phosphide at very low concentrations. The bait's odor has a repellent effect against other animals, but attracts squirrels. A teaspoon around a squirrel opening is recommended. Diphacinone, an anticoagulant toxin, is made in low concentrations and usually requires multiple feedings within a 10-day period. Other methods of control are habitat disruption. This can be achieved by destroying burrows or taking a ripper through burrows at least 20 inches deep. If you have some extra time in an open location, you can always shoot squirrels with a rifle. Although time consuming, it makes for good target practice.
So as you can see here, we have a live trap near the squirrel burrows and put some bait in there. Once the squirrel enters the trap, the door will not allow the squirrels to escape. We use some seeds and an apple core as bait. This trap is in an area where the squirrels travel across the fence to forage, and sometimes will even climb up the tree for more cover. And over here, we have the T-trap, attached to a cone so the hippies don't walk their dogs around it. We place the trap near the squirrel burrows so they will feed on the bait and travel back in their burrows to die. Over here, we have our conibear, which is Kevin's personal favorite. We have it set up so the squirrel can only enter through the trigger side, where it will set off and hopefully destroy some poor little squirrel.
When setting up the conibear, it's very important that you're careful with your hands. It can get you and snap you right in the rumpus. You don't want that. That's not what you want. Alright, so what you got to do is you want to squeeze this jaw of life together, and you're going to slowly with one hand push the trap together like that. And then you want this fork right here to be right in the middle, because that's what's going to be the trigger. And then you want this on the highest setting. You don't want any snap that's a little weak snap. You want the highest setting for a big snap. Alright, and then you put it in like that, and then you kind of let a little pressure off, and then you put your hand on this to be careful, and you slowly let a little more pressure off until it's like that. Now that means it's set right there, and you want to find a good fresh ground squirrel hole to put it in, and you've got to be careful when placing it. So over here, we've got a nice fresh ground squirrel trap, alright? So what you want to do is dig out like we have, a nice open area for the conibear to hang out, and you want to put it right where they can't get around, alright? Now a very important part is you're going to want to stake it down. You don't want anything taking your trap like that, so you want to stake it down to where you got right there. Alright? Now the very most important thing is the yuppies like to be a little adventurous, and they walk around and they say, "What's that?" Alright? You got to put the flag down to show, "Hello, stay away from here, this is not where you want to be." Alright? Now that's the basics of the conibear trap. You got to be really careful with it. You don't want your hand in there, because that'll really get you. So now when the squirrel comes out to go feed, it's going to come through these little forks right here, and it's going to trigger it. And we're going to show you what happens. I'm going to throw a little rock, and you're going to see what happens when the trigger gets set. Alright, you can see the force right there of that trap that could really hurt the squirrel. It immediately just grabs them, and they have nowhere to go. Now the stake's important because you don't want the prey to run off with your dead squirrel, because then you're just shit out of luck and you don't know if it worked or not, and you're out $5 of a conibear trap. Alright, so those are the basics of the conibear. Make sure you're safe with it and everything will be perfect.